having kids is an amazing thing. It's something. When I went to the seminar that I met you guys at, I looked around that room, and there was a room full of young kids that had no idea that one day this was actually going to happen.
Yeah.
You think it's like, I'm gonna. You ain't worried about it. You're not thinking about it, and then one day, something. The woman's process is changed, and she says, "No, I don't feel good," and she goes to the store and she gets that box, and she finds out that her life is possibly changed forever, one way or another. It definitely is. Things happen. You're 2 weeks in, you're a month in, you're a month and a half, 2 months in, and all of a sudden your feelings start to change. Your emotions start to change. The way you sleep changes. The food start tasting different. Brooke, I am here with Colin and Brooke Smith. I met you guys at that seminar.
Yes.
Tell me some of the things that happened during your pregnancy with Jackson, who is here filming in the background.
Yes. So we had an amazing pregnancy for 9 months, healthy, went through all the fun of, putting the room together, getting the clothes, all the videos. I think I posted about my pregnancy like for a long time, free Kennedy Gray. And at my 9th month, right after our baby shower, actually, she wasn't moving the way that I was told she was supposed to move. This was my first pregnancy. So I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to be feeling and expecting. But I asked a few people and they told me, drink something sweet, drink something cold, lay on this side, lay on that side. And she still wasn't doing what I was told she was supposed to be doing, kicking. And,
so this is your first pregnancy?
My very first pregnancy. So I went to the hospital and told them, I was experiencing what I now know is called decreased fetal movement. And, they did a couple of tests. Very insensitive, I would say also, because when I went there, she started moving. So the technician joked and was like, your children make liars out of you, and that in itself made me feel very insecure and second guess, what I was saying. And went back home.
Like, we know what we're talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. Why are you bothering us with this information? Look,
wasting our
she's
time.
moving. Look, you're wasting our time.
Yes. And that'll put you in a position not to want to come again, But lo and behold, happened again. Went another time. That time, in hindsight, the nurse practitioner actually agreed with me. But she said that, the baby is a bit lazy. So she used the term lazy. No, but like I said, in hindsight, that means you saw what I saw. My child wasn't moving well. So she told me, actually, I'm going to take a step back. I called first to let them know that we were on our way. And the doctor that was on call that day, she actually told me that she felt like I was experiencing early labor and I shouldn't come, I don't need to come in for that. And I told her I didn't want her to diagnose me over the phone. So I'll see you in 30 minutes. So, we went there and that's when I was told, that the baby seemed like she was lazy. The nurse practitioner told me that, she would have me walk for an hour and then come back. But after they did tests, she came back in. She's like, you could go home. Matter of fact, this was on Mother's Day. So she was like, you can go home. And I was just like, but you told me I could walk around. And she was like, no, you're fine. And, I had a gut feeling. I was like, you know what? I bet, the doctor probably looked over, my results or the fetal movement and probably was like, it's not that serious. I told her, and probably just dismissed it because she never even came in. So
the actual doctor
never even came in. No.
That was your
So she was one of the people in the practice. So funny enough, because this was my first pregnancy, I expected like what you see on TV, that I would have like one doctor and we'd be building this relationship. And that wasn't the case. And that's not the case in a lot of situations, because when you do go to a practice, there are multiple OBs, OBGYNs there. And you kind of see who's available. You can kind of try to wait for the person that you want, but then in an emergency situation, you're going to see whoever is attending that day. So in this case, it was her, and she was the one doctor that I never saw. So I was able to make appointments with everybody to try to, see how I felt, because one of them would be delivering me. So I never saw her before. This was my first time. She sent me home. I went to a follow-up visit with the one doctor that I wanted to deliver me. So she asked me a few questions. Oh, did you have this test? Did you have that test? Had no clue what she was talking about at the time. Now I know what they are: a biophysical profile and a stress test. So those things are, to kind of help you see what's going on with the baby at the time. So I told her, I didn't know, and I'm looking at her like, well, you have my record. Like,
right.
did I?
Right.
So
I hate when they do that.
Don't
ask me. You have the computer.
Yes, which speaks volumes.
That's crazy.
So she told me to go schedule the tests with the hospital. And, she encouraged me that if I even feel anything, slightly remotely the same, to go back again. I asked her, well, could I have, a C-section? I actually wanted, I was concerned. So I was like, let's just get my daughter here. And she told me, because I was about 40 weeks at the time, so I was ready. She was like, oh, well, I don't have a medical reason to. So I'm like, okay.
Oh my goodness.
So she was like,
so without all of these times going back and forth, they're almost still not paying attention to the fact that you as a mother know there's something wrong with your body or with your baby.
Yes. And in my opinion, to come back a second time within a week's time period, you would think, to look a little bit further, but it didn't happen. It was just like basic, they checked the heart rate, checked the movement, sent me on my way. So I called the hospital. I wanted to make that appointment. And they told me they couldn't get me in until I was at least 42 weeks or something like that. And I'm like, I'm already 40 weeks. Yeah. I just came in the hospital. Like, I have a small window to find out what's wrong. So the woman said that, oh, I can give you the 19th, and I think it was like May 14th at the time. So I can give you the 19th. And I was like, oh, I guess that's all right. And she was like, oh, we're short-staffed. The doctor will kill me. So lo and behold, that Saturday, which was, I think that was the 17th or the 18th. I think it was the 17th. That Saturday, I felt it again, or didn't feel it again, didn't feel her moving. So I told Colin, I was like, look, let's go to the hospital. I was like, this time I'm not going to leave. I'm not leaving. And he looked really worried. I wasn't worried. I just kind of felt like, no, we're going to go. They're not listening.
I have two questions before we move forward. This feeling that you're going through, is it just absence? Like, what is it that you're feeling in your body that is just like, this isn't right?
So, babies kick and the kicks are real. Like, I know you've seen on TV where you could actually see sometimes the foot, poking up. So you get used to babies kicking. So there's this thing called counting kicks that has become very popular. You count to see how many kicks. You should be getting like at least 10 kicks in an hour or so. So it's a way of, just making sure that you're having healthy movement in the womb. So it's one of those things that they always tell you to do, like, oh, in the morning or late at night, you lay down on a certain side, try to do it around the same time, and you count your kicks, to see what's going on with the baby. So she wasn't moving around.
You wasn't feeling those kicks?
I wasn't feeling those kicks.
And you were really paying attention now more than ever.
Yes.
So my second question is, Colin.
Yes, sir.
Through all of this, did you wonder if she was overreacting, or were you feeling helpless? Like, what were your emotions during this period where she's saying there's something wrong, but the doctor is saying nah?
It was more, for me, it was just like, I can't really speak on her behalf, but for me, it just felt like helpless. I couldn't do much. And for me, I was just frustrated because, I'm going to work, being present, I'm going to these doctor's appointments with her, and it's like, I may not like the bedside manner that they present, but I just wanted the service done. I wanted whatever we came for whatever appointment it was, I wanted it to be done. I had my insurance. It's like, yo, this is our insurance. This is what we need, our services. So to kind of walk away from those situations with a question mark over our head, it felt frustrating.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what the next phase would be. It's just that I tried my best to be supportive as much as I can.
Yeah.
And
helpless is a crazy feeling for a man, though.
Yeah. It's like,
how'd you deal with that, feeling helpless at that time? You just like rubbing her belly, or just getting something to eat?
Yeah, just trying to be attentive. You know, if you got a craving, she had a craving for something, you know, like just go for it. I can't remember, but you know, just try to be very mindful. You know, attention to detail. You know, be ready to go. You know, she's feeling the ways. Let's go to the hospital.
Yeah.
There's no,
especially at 40 weeks.
I was gonna say that too. He was very adamant about me going to the hospital for any little thing. So I was the one that was a little bit more like, oh, I don't need to, like, you know, I'll just check this, or, you know, I'm gonna wait to see this. He was very adamant about, you know.
I am a piece of shit. Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now. And they dragged me to hell. So I've gone through a long period of transformation over the course of this podcast.
yeah.
My first child, my daughter, I hate that I'm about to say this. Matter of fact, I don't even think I am.
No, come on.
No, because it's bad, bro. We were in my daughter's mother's house, apartment where we both lived at, but you know, and I'm getting ready to go out and hustle. I'm about to go out, hit the street, and she's like standing by the crib, like, and I'm looking at her like, what? What's wrong with you? She's like, I think my water just broke. And I'm like, oh, fuck. All right. Make me some French toast, and we go to the hospital. Like literally went and cooked after her water broke. Like that's how disconnected I was to this whole process. I really just was not there, right? And so to hear a father that's like, yo, whatever it is, I'm there. Let's go. Let's be on it. I just feel like such an ass.
Well,
Go ahead. You want?
can I bring up
Go,
something?
yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Do you know what I was gonna bring up?
I don't, but
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Hey,
tell me,
keep
save
it
me.
funky.
Don't, come to the pits of hell with me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, man.
You're human.
Yeah.
You know, and I always talk about this because, you know, Colin and I have like this amazing love story. Like, you know, he asked me out after our first date. He told me he loved me 3 days after, proposed to me in 2 months. Like, it was crazy. So, and then we're still together. You know, we just celebrated 14 years. So people look at that sometimes on like surface level, and they just think like, you know, a comment like that, oh my God, you know, think about, but we go through things too. You know, we're all human. I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? I've hurt him before. He's hurt me before. Like, you know, we work through stuff. So, he had a moment like that too.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's why I said I don't know. If
I had several. I don't know.
So-
I'm like, what chapter you pulling from? I
So
don't even know.
you didn't have a couple. I think it was just this one time.
All right.
The second time we went to the hospital on Mother's Day. So that morning when I wanted to go and I felt like something was wrong, he was anxious about, you know, going to see his mom. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he has a very good relationship with his mom. So, you know, it was important to make sure that he makes the time to see her also. So he was anxious about that. And I think it bothered him that it wasn't a lack of concern for me. It was just kind of like, oh crap, like I don't want to mess that up. You know what I mean? So I think he was thinking about that. So I had to have a little moment. I'm like, hello.
Something might be wrong.
Something might be wrong, and you worrying about, you know, going over there. Like, you know, I love her too, but you know, this is an emergency.
That's
you
not
know?
as bad as French toast.
So
I really like French toast. Like, probably not as much as you like your mom. So it's
French toast, man.
There's a little. I understand the situation. But,
you know, but I felt like that, you know. So it happens, you know what I mean, and. Even that particular day, like, you know, we went to the hospital. I told you it felt dismissive, and I was in discomfort, and we still went to his mom's house.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
and
know,
you were sitting there like,
I was angry.
Hey,
I was angry and
nice
I was
to see you.
uncomfortable. But, you know, regarding how to make things work, there's still compromise or whatever. So part of me was still trying to be mindful of what he needed also. You know, we did go to the hospital, so we did get clearance, you know, so,
Wow.
you know, I still was able to rest there, you know what I mean? So it was still, you know, trying to have some sort of compromise in that, you know.
You know, I spoke to Amina Woods yesterday, and I know there's more to the story. But I was speaking about the disconnect with men in pregnancy. Like, we know y'all going through something.
Yeah.
But we also said every woman goes through this. Every woman that's ever been pregnant goes through this.
Yeah.
Y'all all go through this. Y'all all have babies.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay. But I don't think that men can connect or really understand the amount of physical, psychological, emotional, mental strain that is happening. So I knew that your water breaks. I knew it was probably going to be another day or two.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's still time to make fresh toast. Like, why do we want to be hungry at the hospital? Let's eat.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Shut up, Toro. I did not connect it to the emergency or the amount of how long you've been waiting for this moment.
Even besides that, it's a life or death situation.
This is a life or death situation.
Because I think only now there's really being a light shed on, you know, this black mortality rate,
Right.
you know, maternity mortality rate. And people have not really thought about like that. Everybody just kind of thinks, oh, you get pregnant, you have a baby.
You have a baby.
But no, you could get pregnant, you could die.
Yeah.
You could get pregnant and the baby could die. You know what I mean? So it's life or death. And people don't look at it like that because in some instances, people are not talking about it. You know, 1 in 4 women, pregnancies end up, you know, with poor outcomes.
Now, I just want to kind of shed some light on my past prior to getting with my wife. I came out of a divorce. Now, toxic situation. I wasn't perfect, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, getting with Brooke, you know, she helped me to get past that bitterness that I had. You know, I mean, I'm a poet, you know, so I went, you best believe, Valentine's Day, I read a poem shaking, talking about, you know, Valentine's Day is for suckers when I first broke up with her. But all that to say that it was really toxic, it was really bad. And during that time frame with my ex-wife, there was a time where, you know, she was expecting. And she felt like having a child would make things better. And I said, nah, like I said, if we toddlers right now, we arguing. The most selfish one is going to be the one that can't do much for themselves. How are we going to have a kid? Nah. And she took that as like, you know, like the arguing and all that. That's like black love. Like that's how she kind of like took it.
People go through stuff. Everybody goes through stuff. You gotta fight. You gotta fight through it.
Yeah. So I'm like hearing all of that. Anyway, time go by. And then, you know, she tells me that, you know, she's pregnant, whatever. We go to the doctor. I saw the fluttering heart and all of that stuff, the rapid. I was like, oh, snap. So I'm just like, wow. And then, again, not knowing the emotions that go into it, because it's emotional too. Yeah. And the stress that could come, you know, all of that stuff. Didn't know nothing about that. But we getting back to, we like Ali and Joe Frazier, verbally arguing, all that stuff. Go to the next doctor visit. Doc is like, I'm going to step out. I'm just going to get another view, and I'll be right back. Another person comes in, another nurse or whatever. You know what? I'm going to get another review and come back. Now, that's 2 people that left the room. Now, the third one comes in. That's the doc. And then they look for a little bit, and then they turn around and say, I'm sorry to inform you that, you know, what you was expecting is not here. You know.
It's not a viable pregnancy.
Yeah, you know.
It was
miscarriage. Yeah, it's gone. You know, so we was just like, whoa. So she broke down crying and stuff like that. And I was just like, dang, man, that's crazy. You know, and I know what I saw, but then it was like, when I hugged her, I remember, and this may sound crazy, you know, if I'm gonna be real, I'm just letting you know, because it was toxic, and I was just like, one end, I'm like, dang, you know, we got life coming. There's a baby. All right, it's cool. You know, whatever I have, I'm gonna embrace it. That's mine. But then it was like on the other end, it was like, dang, I ain't want to be with this person. Like it was like that. So then, as crazy as it was, messed up it may sound, man, I remember hugging her and looking up in the sky in the heavens, like,
Yo, you're not supposed to.
I'm being real. It sounds crazy, but I was just like, dang, and I was like, God, like I know you got this one. That's an angel.
You know, I had a similar experience, but mine was different. And I know I really want to get back to the Brooke story, but I remember once we had my twins. My son's mother had high blood pressure. We wasn't getting along at all, right? But she had high blood pressure. She just had children or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of the babies had to go to the NICU. Because he also had, I think he had a hole in his heart. So he had to have open heart surgery the next day.
Jeez.
And the doctor didn't want to tell her because she had high blood pressure. And so she could die from that information at this time. So they pulled me to the side and told me what was going on. And was like, we have to operate on your son right now, but we can't tell her. Like, at the very last moment, we'll wait as long as we can so we can get her permission or whatever, but we have to operate on your son. And I also, because now I'm the only one that knows, right? And I had to take a step outside, and I remember looking up at the sky, and I remember saying, God, just, please, like, yo, just give me strength right now, because I don't know what the hell is going on, how I'm gonna get through this moment. Pray for my son, you know what I mean? So it's similar, you know, situation, opposite conclusions or endings to it, but it's rough, man. It's a rough time dealing with mortality and dealing with the relationships that happen and behind them. But yeah, I'd also like to ask Brooke, you go back to the hospital and you say you're not leaving. You say, this time I'm staying.
Yeah. Go back to the hospital, and similar situation to what Colin said. One doctor comes in, another doctor comes in, a third doctor comes in, and then the woman who was at the other appointment that I never saw, she came in finally. So I finally saw her.
Those 3 doctors.
And she says, you know, there's no heartbeat. I'm like, okay, find a heartbeat then. Like, what we gotta do? And she's just like, you know, the baby's not here. So, you know, we prayed, you know, we have, you know, faith, we're Christians, you know, so we prayed, and, you know, I thought it was going to be some miracle, you know, and, you know, just asked them to keep looking. They kept looking, nothing. And then she was just like, you could go home.
That's it? What do you mean?
Exactly. See?
And you know what? This is where I felt like you knew your situation. You knew what was happening, and not everybody else do. I saw that scene play out before.
Oh, yeah.
So I felt like crap because...
Oh, no, the doctor after doctor after doctor.
I felt like crap because I thought it was karma. Because I felt like, dang, man. I was like, God, like...
Oh, shit.
I know, and I felt like, I felt like I made peace. I'm like, God, you know, God, we good. Like, you know, but I was doing my best to be present at that time, to be supportive. But God really, you know, my heart, and I had this guilt on me because when that was playing out with my wife,
oh fuck,
I was like, yo, and I was like,
this is not this.
I was like, yo, and I kept a poker face the whole time because I was trying to keep cool and play it like we gonna find this out, but I'm like, I didn't want to speak it into existence. I didn't want to think it in my mind. But then I said, I feel like this is different. First, I dealt with a miscarriage, not a stillbirth. This is different. Like, I just thought, like, we just gonna birth, we gonna have a kid. Like, that's how I thought. But I said, this is different. So I'm just sitting the whole time like, nah, like, you know. And then when the doctor said what they said, I'm like,
no way. No way.
Here we go.
No way.
And that's exactly what I felt like. I had a hard time trying to forgive myself. And saying that it feel bad. Like I feel wicked. Like it really felt bad. And I really just felt like, dang, man. Like, and I literally said like, dang, man, like as messed up as it sounds, like, dang, I feel like crap because I my heart was like not there. I wasn't in it. So it's like, I was more so like on some selfish, like, yo, it's all about me. And I was like, God, you knew I was ready for this one mentally. I'm like focused. I'm like, let's go. Let's get this delivery. Let's go. And the crazy thing, I was scared. Like once we found out the sex of our child, like, it's gonna be a girl dad. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, for me, it was just like, how does that play out? Like, like I was like, girl dad, I was like prepping for a son.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Every guy wants a son.
I was prepping for a son.
It's a whole different
like,
thing once you get a girl. You're like,
I was like, a girl?
What is this?
Yeah.
I gotta be vulnerable. I gotta be soft.
We're going on dates, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like what?
Tea dates, all that. I was like, all right. So I'm getting my mind right. But then it was just like, Brooke encouraged me and said, Colin, just be who you are. She's gonna love the man that you are. You are her dad. Like, you're gonna love. And I remember like going through anxiety and just even wondering, like, first time really about to really fit, like really be a dad. Like, it was hitting me. And then she encouraged me a great deal. And then I remember I finally accepted. I was like, all right, yeah, I'm ready. And then the moment I said I was ready, then I lost her. And I said, God, what's going on with this? Like, I said I was ready. Like, my mindset. And then I was remember a lot was going on, man. A lot was going on. So
I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to both of y'all. For honestly, Brooke. I can identify. I know that feeling, because I had autistic children, and obviously I keep telling you I went to jail and I lived this criminal past and I was mean in my first pregnancy or whatever it may be, and I really asked God, like, yo, is this a punishment? Like, you serious? Like, I'm a different person now. Why? But sometimes you gotta pay for the shit you did. So I was thinking like, oh, okay, this is my penance. Not realizing like, bro, this is things that's happened. This don't have nothing to do with you, but I can understand that guilt. I can definitely understand that guilt.
Yeah.
But you went to the doctor several times. You had a happy pregnancy. You paid attention. Don't do that during a podcast.
Hey, Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? Soundtrack right there.
Podcast. Come on.
Yeah.
You were attentive. You asked those questions. You made those phone calls. You made those trips.
Preach on.
You questioned after they said no.
Say it again.
How did you feel once they told you to go home?
Angry. Even to ask to go home, like, again, putting together this picture of what you think happens in your head, with pregnancy, and then now even a loss. Like, where was our time to go into a room and you talk to me about next steps? Or she was walking out the door and it's like, oh, you could go home. And I was like, and do what? She's like, oh, your body will naturally, like,
Man.
And I'm like, I can't have an emergency C-section. And she's like, oh, I can't risk your life for a dead fetus.
She said that.
Oh, yeah.
She said that.
Oh, yeah.
About your child.
Yeah. It wasn't until recently that I actually gained some peace about that, because I had been carrying around this bitterness towards her in the hospital because of the circumstances that have happened. So it's only recently that, I really got some peace about that, because there's nothing I can do. They going on living a medical life, and getting paid and doing whatever. I don't even know if they even think about me, so I had to stop drinking that poison, because it was only killing me. But and while I was at church, when that happened, and part of me really came to the realization of, obviously her bedside manner is horrible, and there could have been a different approach. But when you think about it, when we think about the maternity loss rate, she was trying to protect me, at least. And I think in that moment I didn't accept what was happening. she knew medically what was happening, and then by putting me under and doing an operation, she'd be putting me at risk. And what if I died too?
Nah, man. God bless you for.
Well, I mean, this is 10 years after. So this is 10 years after. We're celebrating the 10-year anniversary on the 19th.
Okay.
You know, so
this month.
May this month, next week. Yeah. So, you know, this didn't come overnight for me to come to that point, you know. You know. So, but definitely, you know, during that time, everything. I wanted to fight, you know, just everything. So, she said that she could induce me. So, we started that. We still saw her several times. She was still talking. Her bedside manner was horrible. Like, you know, we kept asking, like, you know, could she come periodically and, you know, check the sonogram for us, you know, because we were still praying that maybe the baby was just in some sort of position where they weren't able to get her heart rate. Maybe she was dying but not dead, and it was just too faint. And, you know, we was just praying for something different, you know. And then she like huffed and puffed. She was like, I mean, how many times are we talking here?
Man,
I'm blown away.
Yeah.
I'm also blown away by the idea that they would send a woman home with a fully.
Oh, that's common. That we found out that's common.
You're supposed to just and see your child at fully baby.
Oh, well, I delivered her. Yeah, you have to deliver the baby. So these are the things that this is why I thank you for allowing us to be on the show, because like I said, stillbirths are common. We don't even hear the word or term stillbirth, you know, because you think it's such an old term for back in the day. But, you know, if you lose a baby in your womb after 20 weeks of pregnancy, that's a stillbirth, you know. So people don't realize when you see that friend who was 6 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant, and she had a big old belly and stuff like that, and then you hear the story down the block like, oh, such and such was the baby. She had to deliver that baby. But nobody's talking about that, because that's a trauma in itself. You have to deliver the baby. There's no way you got to get the baby out. And these babies are almost, you know, in some cases full term. So my daughter was 7 pounds, 6 ounces.
What's her name?
Kennedy Gray.
Kennedy Gray.
Yeah. She actually has a day in Brooklyn. Kennedy Gray Community Service Day.
That's amazing.
Mayor Eric Adams, who was the Brooklyn Borough president at the time, gave us that day because of the advocacy work that we've been doing.
Now, what is this advocacy work that you do?
Yeah, so this situation, learning all this information, it prompted us to start a nonprofit due to the lack of services that were available. You know, there was like nowhere to go. Nobody knew, you know, I mean, there were places to go. You could go to therapy, but even some of the therapists, they're not trained to really deal with something like this, and they don't know, you know, what to say and what to do. So we ended up starting a nonprofit to support families that go through this, you know. Like I said, with even delivering a baby, there's no health insurance. There's no there's no
You have to deliver
there's no life insurance.
Yeah.
You know, so when you think about it, where's that baby going? What you gonna do with it? Yeah. And funeral homes, they're in the business of death, so it's not like you getting a discount. A funeral's a funeral. They might, like, you know, knock off some, you know, the price down on some, you know, out of consideration, because you know, it's a sensitive, you know, a baby. But you still have to pay for a funeral, or pay for a cremation, or pay for a burial. And if you're expecting a baby, and you know, first of all, we're not even gonna talk about how a lot of us don't have life insurance, but you know, the babies don't have life insurance. You can't get life insurance on a kid until they're like 14 days old. So what do? You know, so people are stuck with that bill. So one of the things that we do is we pay for burials. We pay for cremations.
Okay. Amazing.
You know, we pay for psychotherapy grants. You know,
psychotherapy.
Therapy.
For people that have gone through this situation.
Yeah, if they want to see a therapist and stuff, you know, to help pay the co-pays, or if they don't have health insurance, we might be able to cover a few sessions in full price.
What is your mental like after this situation happened? Period. You're talking about psychotherapy.
Yeah.
What were the things that's happening in your brain?
A lot of guilt. blaming myself for a
For
million
what?
different
You tried
things.
so hard.
A million different things, you know. Me thinking, you know, drinking the juice or doing this aggravated her and made her, you know, because we ended up finding out that she died because there was a knot in her cord it was a knot, and it was also around her neck. So the issue was that something like that was preventable if they would have looked further.
Really?
Yes. But that's a whole nother thing to open about how the medical field are not really, they don't take it's called a nuchal cord. They don't take it very seriously at all. You know, we think it's like, oh, you got a cord around the neck. No, they'll let a baby stay with a cord around the neck, and they'll just monitor you, just making sure that it doesn't tighten or do stuff. You don't get like a C-section just because there's a cord around the neck, unless it's actually like, you know, the baby's heart rate is dropping or something like that. Yeah. Because even when afterwards, you know, they told us that, like, oh no, but you know, the it's like a jelly like stuff, and it's like lubricant, it doesn't really get tight. They told us that they didn't think that was the cause, but the autopsy said yes, it was that, and the knot together. Yeah.
And she had, when we saw her, she had you could see the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, it was the umbilical cord.
You know, Colin, obviously she's spoken about a certain amount of guilt, and I don't know what you could have been going through. Please try to let me know, like, besides your guilt just from thinking about your first pregnancy, what are the feelings as a father of dealing with something like this?
Oh man, I feel, for me, in hindsight, it was tough to accept, you know, but I feel like for me it was just like moving forward, it's like really focusing on my nucleus, my family. And I think, you know, we got this saying that Brooke and I, we call it the vomit truth, you know, because, you know, when a person throws up, even though it may not be something that they want to do, but sometimes when you let it out, get whatever you need to get out your system. You may sweat, whatever, it is what it is, but you feel better.
Feel so much better.
So we call it the vomit truth.
Yeah.
So all that to say, I remember, like, you know, pretty much like how we building right now, Brooke and I was just like, you know, just talking, having a moment with each other. And then she was just like, yo, can I ask you, you know, some questions, you know? And, you know, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, can I ask you some questions? And, you know, we was going. And then she was just like, yo, you know, do you think there's something that you could have done better? You know? And I was just like, you know, is there something that you angry about? You know what I'm saying? You know, that you feel like, did I move quicker enough? Did I move quick enough? You know what I'm saying? And I started thinking back. I was just like, dang, man, I should have jumped when you said on Mother's Day. Like, we could have, like, maybe that could have been time to, like, get the attention. So I was just, like, putting blame on me, you know? And I was just like, you know, just thinking about every little thing, you know, what could have caused, you know? And I think also, you know, for me, it's just more like just trying to be more, I felt like I spent so much time being scared. Like, even though it's okay to be scared, and I tell people it's okay, it's like, you know, there's emotion, but I feel like I spent so much focus on, you know, Dad, like, wow, you know, yeah, but I realized that, you know, every child that we have is a miracle, man. It's a miracle. You know what I'm saying? Like, children are miracles. I don't care how handy you are. No man got anything to do with the inner workings of what brings the child. The doctors, they can't do nothing. We all looking like this.
You gotta wait.
At the end of the day, it's just who knows how to work the equipment. And you know anatomy. Great, you're a doctor, but there's nobody that's knitting and making, and now you see person. From a frog, from a sperm to now you seeing features, and now you getting sonograms and all this stuff. It's a miracle. It's beautiful. And it's just like, in hindsight, I was just kind of beating myself up like, dang, man, moving forward, like, I'm going to try to celebrate and then bask in the moment right away, instead of, even though I will feel what I feel, but just try to be more positive instead of like negative and like what I'm going to be. Because by the time I accepted that I'm going to be a father, I'm about to be a girl dad, and that's my girl. That's when everything, my world got rocked.
Right.
So I said, yo, too much time went by. And, you know, so that's the tough thing for me, you know? So moving forward, it's like, even with my little man, God blessed us with him the following year. So they call in the pregnancy infant loss community rainbow babies, because we went through a storm.
Right.
So it's like a rainbow baby, you know what I'm saying? So he's like a rainbow baby.
Were you guys scared to about that? Like,
Oh, heck yeah.
what's
Bro.
that like?
So before that, could I speak to the insurance thing real quick?
So someone in the chat, Sade in our community said, you actually can get insurance for a baby. My mom has one on a couple of her grandchildren, Gerber life insurance.
Gerber.
Yes.
That's what she said.
So you can't get insurance on a baby unless they've been alive for 14 days.
Yes.
So when you have a baby who died in your womb, they're not considered a life.
Right.
So you cannot get insurance on a baby that doesn't technically exist.
Okay.
So just wanted to clarify that, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's an interesting thing where you can't get insurance on the baby, but in those abortion states with this whole Roe v. Wade thing, it's not alive, but it is alive.
Yeah.
Like, which one is it?
Yeah.
It's a funny game that y'all are playing.
Yes.
Of course, that goes down to capitalism and all of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you guys so before we go into the pregnant again, the questions that you had for him, did you have any resentment about, yo, I told you Mother's Day, yo, you, and pardon me for digging in.
No, yeah.
What I'm trying to get at is, before making this personal with y'all, how much mothers need support, how much they need. Like, when both pregnancies, I was her mouthpiece. Even if we wasn't getting along, even if I was a hustle type of dude, I'm aggressive, right? So I'm the guy, when I was in the street with my daughter, mother, I'm still an aggressive dude, but I'm like, yo, y'all got to this, or yo, y'all got to that. I had a more bedside manner. I had a better bedside manner with my sons. So I knew how to talk to the nurses. I knew that, but I was both of their mouthpiece. And I'm sure, well, I'm not sure. How did you feel about that, just with the support and thinking like, I told you. Did that happen?
I think at one point, definitely. I mean, I brought it up. You know what I mean? So, however, you know, I know that Colin wasn't in control of what happened. So the same way that, you know, he's mentioning that people can't make the babies, you know, can't nobody allow that situation to happen but God. You know what I mean? And that's a whole nother topic, you know. And I've learned to have, you know, in my flesh, I'm angry, I want my daughter, but at the same time, you know, it really challenged me to stand, like, to say, are you going to stand on your faith and what you believe? And if I do, then, you know, death on the spiritual level with God is not what we feel death is here on earth.
Right.
You know? So if I believe that, then this is that moment. Do you believe that? So it's like, I do, but then I'm human, you know? So I definitely, you know, felt bothered by it. You know,
Of course.
I definitely felt bothered by it, but I also know that, you know,
It's not something that he did.
What was going to happen was going to happen.
You guys are a black couple. I'm going to bring race into it only because yesterday on yesterday's episode, Amina, who is a doula, spoke on the maternal mortality rate of black women. I believe that's what she called it.
Yes.
Versus other races.
Yes.
And how much is it higher?
It is higher, and there's a big light being shed on it now. There's a lot of laws being worked on in legislation to deal with that, but most definitely there's this stigma when it comes to black women and pain and being listened to. You know, you always hear the term about a strong black woman, and you know, you're not, you know, of course, not in all situations, but you know, it has been more common that you're not listened to. You know, I, in some aspect, try to beat the system in that, you know, and what I mean by that is I thought by going to a hospital in Long Island, you know, there would be better service, you know, but even in that, I saw the difference. You know, when I was there, I was still, you know, a black woman coming to there to get services, and I didn't look like the soccer mom that, you know, and you feel the difference in sometimes, yeah,
in the way they treat you.
Definitely.
I tell you no lie.
Yeah.
I went to the dentist last week, and I was like, I don't want to go to the dentist here because he get bad treatment here. So I went to the city. It's because I was like, yo, I want to go to where they take care, get taken care of. I swear this happened.
Yeah.
But when I was in there, I just realized I was a nigga in the city to them. Like, why is he here? You know what I mean? I felt a different energy. She cut me off when I was talking.
Wow.
She was very abrupt when she walked out. So I was like, ma'am, I still have more questions. Like, you just leaving, but I'm not done. I'm not done. You might be done, but I'm not done.
It's crazy.
And I can imagine that being the experience of women when they're looking at you like you're just another black woman versus...
I mean, that comment, your children will make liars out of you. Are you going to say that to...
Or lazy?
Yeah. Would you say that to... I don't want to say a name and be, you know, but...
Karen. We could just use Karen.
Like, would you? Would you say that in front of her and her, you know, Wall Street husband? You wouldn't. You know, you would approach the situation differently. Matter of fact, even when we were pregnant with our son Jackson afterwards... we had to switch doctors because now we were playing no games. You know, we had to switch doctors because he tried to code switch with us. You know, we went, it was like our first time seeing him, and you know, he cursed in the meeting. You know, and I felt like he was trying to be relatable. Funny thing is, we don't curse. You know what I mean? And it's not that, you know, we don't care about other people cursing, but it's just he thought he was relating with us.
Talk to me like
he
that.
was like, oh, you got some big AFing earrings on.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
You don't know what we've been through. I don't need that right now.
Okay.
I
You
don't
know,
need that right now.
and then when we thought, you know, when I wanted to make sure, I felt like in some cases I wasn't feeling him, and I'm like, okay, I can't worry about being paranoid and what that looks like, and people just thinking that, oh, you're just being, you know, paranoid because of what happened to you. I don't care. Check me. They didn't want to check me because I went one time and it was earlier on. So they didn't want to check me because I was early, like 20, I think it was before 28 weeks. It was like maybe 25 weeks or something. They didn't want to check me. No, check me. It turns out he was breech. So hello, what I felt was right. I didn't feel him because he turned upside down. That's why I felt something different. So I'm glad that it wasn't something horrible, but I knew what I was talking about, you know?
Bruh.
And then, you know, next thing you know, he turned right side up by my next appointment. And then in the time in between that, I didn't feel him again, went to go again. They didn't want to do the sonogram because they're like, oh, well, first, they wouldn't tell us why. They was just like, oh, no, we can't do another one. What do you mean we can't? I need to check and make sure that my son is okay. I was about 28 weeks. They didn't want to do it. I'm not hearing that, you know, and I know, and I've already called my insurance company. We had great insurance because he had a federal job. So, you know, no, what's the word? No pre-authorizations, things like that. Like I know about my health insurance. I ask about my coverage. So I'm trying to tell them and they're trying to tell me no. And I'm like, no, I spoke to my insurance company. I can yes. So he talks to, they stopped the doctor in the hallway and he's kind of like, you know, wasn't like far, but you know, maybe even from where Colin to you, he's talking to the nurse, yelling the business and the thing. He's like, no, because you know the insurance is not going to pay for, you know, a second sonogram. Hello, HIPAA.
Yeah.
Why are you airing my
yelling
business
out?
in the
Right.
hallway? You might, can we step into your office and have this conversation quickly? So that type of treatment is crazy. And then I said, no, call my insurance company. Oh, they called. There's no limitation on the sonograms I can get. Thank you. Give me a sonogram.
No
you know,
way.
and then he was breech again.
What?
Yeah. So
now, when you say breech, what is the importance of
breech means when the baby turns upside down.
Head down or no, feet down?
Feet down. So what happens was when he is the correct way, meaning the head pointed down, because that's the way you would normally deliver. Right. The feet kicks. The feet it's up here, so that's why you're feeling it in your stomach. When he turned the other way, all of a sudden I'm not feeling kicks, and I didn't feel anything down there. So all I knew was I didn't feel anything. Right. So I'm going, So each time I didn't. So these two situations just show an example of how in tune we can be with our bodies. Because if you think about it, I pinpointed the week my daughter died.
Yes.
When you think about it, I was so in tune with what was happening with my body. On. Hey, this day I wasn't feeling something. This day I wasn't feeling something. Hey, this is an emergency. Go back that 4th time, gone. I knew something was happening in this week, and y'all didn't listen to me.
And now you're doing it again.
Yes. So this is what's happening with Black women in their pregnancies. They're not being listened to with certain things, or things are not being looked into, and they die. So a lot of things that happen with the Black women, it's a lot of blood clots. Mm-hmm. Them not checking for blood. Women are leaving the hospitals and dying like a few days afterwards because of blood clots. Mm. And that even goes to certain types of treatments and stuff, medical history. Are they looking at certain things, and how that's being looked at? Like the record thing that we said. Mm. Why am I in front of you and you didn't look and see what your partners were doing? And I'm telling you, I was in the hospital. You didn't think, oh, let me scroll over and look at this thing. Or she was in the hospital before. Oh, okay, they did this, they did that. Because they're not doing it.
Mm-hmm. I would also say for me as a takeaway, I learned that, I don't care how many degrees somebody has. I don't care what type of doctor, don't care how known they are, doesn't matter. No doctor knows your body better than you. You trust your instinct, just trust your instinct, and also when it comes down to like different places and stuff like that, a lot of times, it's easy to get caught up with the bells and whistles. Like, yo, this hospital's popping right here. You know what I mean? I could bring the fam over. Looks good.
Free parking.
There's money right here.
Ribs in the cafeteria. They serve ribs.
It's nice.
Filet mignon. Yo, bro, it's like that. You get caught up in all of that.
Yeah, and the service is crap. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then you could go somewhere else, and it's like, it could be different setup, but you getting that service. Or it could even be where you may not be a fan of everybody's personality. Everybody, you may not be meshed with them, but always observe and look and be mindful, because like the other doctor we dealt with, like I really honestly, like he was very
stiff as a board,
very straight to the point, dude. And I'm like, dang, bro, that's kind of cold. But maybe a little sensitive to what I've been through, right? But I'm like, watching it. But the dude was aggressive when it came down to looking up, making sure everything is okay in the womb. He was one. No question asked. He was like, come in the office. He was very aggressive with that. But he's not going to be the guy that's going to be like, hey, how was your day? Nah, hey, we ain't friends like that.
He was so stiff.
Yeah.
But my man knew his science, and he had us coming in just about every week or so, monitoring Jackson's heart rate and making sure, like checking the trends and making sure like he did not play.
Now, Colin.
Yes, sir.
Was there a difference between the way you were in the first versus the way you were in the second? What wound up?
Yeah. It was more like I went from, again, no matter what, I don't care. I could be trained, I could fight, I could do all this stuff, but my whole goal is to protect my family. You know what I'm saying? And understanding when it comes down to pregnancy, I don't care how tough a man may be on the outside, ain't nothing they could do that's going on when a woman's going through their pregnancy, but watch and hoping for the best delivery to come, and get their kids. But I think for me, this round, I felt like I needed to be more vocal, more vocal. I think the first round was like I didn't experience, I didn't consider stillbirth. I didn't know what that was. It was like, okay, I heard about, dang man, I was aware about the miscarriage, I heard about, but I didn't know. because I didn't really go through. But then, okay, it happened. I'm like, oh man, it's crazy. But I didn't, I didn't have a, honestly, I didn't connect. So emotionally, I don't think I was even there. But then,
This time you were.
This time I was like connected, and I was just like, nah, man, all right. And I was like, yo, Brooke, you not feeling it? Yo, all right, cool. Let's get the sonogram, and we bounce, we leave. So it's like, yo, you don't have to, like, I was like, not trying to stay with one doctor if they was giving us any type of static. I'm like, how do you feel about this, Brooke? How are you feeling? Did you like this? Did you like this? Okay, all right, boom. And then we started seeing how the insurance runs. It's like, oh, it's a business, it's a money thing. And it was just like, man, this is. So I think moving forward, I think I was just a lot more aggressive, even to the point where, I almost lost her, man. Like, real talk, like she was bleeding out on me.
No way.
That was a pregnancy after Jackson.
Yeah.
With a miscarriage at 3 months.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I almost lost her, man. And the crazy thing is,
y'all been through some shit.
I'm
sorry, Jackson. I'm sorry. I couldn't.
But I think I say because of kind of what that trauma from that. I mean, it's like literally we went to the emergency room. I'm seeing them giving her towels. She's going through, and it's like making her wait. She's profusely, blood's coming out. It was just crazy. So I'm just like, oh. Then it got to a point where it's like, Brooke had to take her phone out and start recording and saying, okay, you're not going to, I'm here. My towel is soaked. I need to be seen. Something's happening. It's not right, but you keep having me wait. So then that's all of a sudden now people are working to do stuff, whatever. And it got to a point where now we get in a room. I literally started to see it. At one point, her color like started to change. Now she's tough. She Brooklyn, she tough girl, you know what I mean? And she doesn't want me to get
named after the borough.
Yeah, you know what I mean? She tough. Like she Brooklyn tough. She don't want like me to get worried, whatever. But at the same time,
you can see something is happening.
Something wasn't right. Her like she looked like death. Like I saw it. Like I saw like the color was leaving. Like everything. And I just said nah. And then she started shaking. And then I said, yo. Then I said, nah. And then I pulled back the curtain. I said, I need somebody right here now. But what hurt me because of the kind of issues that we was dealing with, I was trying to tell myself, don't be angry, black man. Because if I put too much bass in the voice, or if I get too aggressive,
different situation, right?
Then security might come for me, and then I'm gonna be the crazy guy, and all I'm doing is trying to make sure my wife is being cared because, she's knocking.
That's a whole different level.
He saved me because at that point, so like he said, Jackson's pregnancy went well. I think the most trouble was trying to manage the grief while being pregnant with him, because I got pregnant with him 5 months after losing Kennedy. So it was just like, we was just still checking stuff in my body, and it was like, oh, you got another baby. So, and he was born 2 days after her loss. So I'm celebrating her first anniversary on May 19th in the hospital, giving birth to him, and he came out on May 21st. So then several years later, I think 2019 is the time he's talking about, wasn't trying. So it was just like uh-oh, and it was like, okay, we're gonna do this, and we tried our best not to, live in fear. We went through everything. And then, numbers were showing that, the pregnancy wasn't going to happen. So we knew that we were losing the baby. And they told us, we could either get the DNC, which is similar to basically what people get when they get abortions, or we can, same thing, let my body, expel the baby. So I decided to wait and see if it would happen on its own. And if not, then we would go. So started bleeding. And now I never went through this type of loss. So again, I don't know what to expect. And I just recall them saying it might be a pad a day, like a regular maxi pad a day. I had to buy Depends. And I just kept checking, and it was like puddles. So I was like, okay, I don't want him to panic. I started getting our stuff together quietly. And then I was like, okay, Colin, we need to go to the hospital, blah, 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 blah. Jackson was with us. He doesn't remember, but, when I videotaped him, wherever he's in the camera, he's like, Mommy, all the blood, because he saw how much I was bleeding. He was little. And when we were there, they made me stand online to register. This is at an ER.
Oh, my God.
I'm telling them, like, I'm bleeding, I'm miscarrying or whatever. They came and gave me towels. I sat on the towels. I had the towels on me. Had to keep switching them out because it was so much blood. I videotaped and took pictures of everything, and then finally, we're getting angry, and I'm like, you guys didn't take my vitals. You didn't ask how far along I am, because here's another law that people don't know. If your baby is before 23 weeks, if you're pregnant and you're having an issue, the doctors don't touch the baby. They'll just let it pass. So medically, and I think that's because of all the abortion complications and stuff. So if you're over 23 weeks, it's viable, and they will deliver the baby and work with you. But if something has happened before that, they don't intervene at all. By law, they cannot. So my issue with them is y'all didn't even ask me how far along I was. So if something is happening, there might have been an opportunity to save this baby if I was more than 23 weeks, but y'all don't even know. So, I'm filming them, and stuff like that. Then, like you said, here they come with the vital thing. Now they come. I think I even had to ask for a curtain, right? Because I was still in the open area bleeding. So I'm embarrassed. And I'm like, y'all don't got a corner to put me in? They was like, oh, you could go in the hallway. I was like, so we was angry at this point because we already, dealt with stuff before. So when they finally got us in, and like he said, when that stuff started happening, I kind of blacked out. So I do remember hearing him step out, and I remember him, loudly getting them or whatever. And then what ended up happening, they found out that I had tissue stuck in my cervix and I was hemorrhaging. So I had to get 3 blood transfusions.
No way.
Yeah. So this is another example of, again, they made me, and the reason why I needed 3 blood transfusions is because of how much time went by and I was just bleeding out. So this is an example of how women go through these things if you're not on top of it and paying attention. And if I didn't have an attentive Black man advocating for me in that moment. Sorry. Your face.
The difference in how Colin behaved in the first one, and I remember you saying how dope the pregnancy was. It was a great pregnancy. During Kennedy's term. Was it noticeable in the second? How different Colin was with Jackson?
Oh, most definitely, because by that time we were in activist mode. I told you about the nonprofit. So we were already actively supporting families who were going through things. Also, it was a form of healing for us as well, being able to provide. So we're hearing other people's stories now. So many people are coming to us with similar stories. One of our board members with the Baby Resource Center, her story was that she was on morphine when they had to do her procedure and she lost her baby. And I think they made her sign paperwork while she wasn't aware of what was going on. And she wanted her baby. She wanted to bury her baby. Come to find out, they put the baby in medical waste.
No.
They put the baby in the medical waste. And basically she had to argue with them. Like, she wanted the baby. So I guess it was still there. They were waiting for something. They didn't know what to do. She went and found the baby herself.
What?
Yeah. It's a whole crazy. We have so many stories from so many families that's just absolutely horrible. It's so much more common than you think. It's just that you see how, uncomfortable it is. Who wants to talk about it? Who wants to share it? It's not something that, for the most part, somebody's not going to go on Instagram, go on social media and be like, oh, this happened, because then there's the insensitivity of people. That's a whole nother topic. When I've seen so many people sharing their experiences and their hurt, and people said they're looking for attention, so then everybody retreats back into, hiding, So.
Oh, well, I don't even know. I was not the story. No. So the reason I brought you guys here,
yes,
was one thing, and you guys actually showed it, just in a way that I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready for. The fact that, Colin, you saved your wife's life. You saved her life. It at a cost, right? Like you realize that what happened with Kennedy has now put you in overdrive. You're paying so much. Matter of fact, with Kennedy and the previous one, has now put you in overdrive. But to me, what I take from that is how necessary the support system is for women, especially Black women. How much, guys, we be dealing with our own shit.
Yeah.
And it kind of can get in between it, or not really. You don't really get to identify, like, yo, this is the role that I need to play in this, and she's alone, and she's like literally this baby's mouthpiece. And for me, I was worried about French toast. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm worried about, yo, why you ain't acting why you treating me this way? Where she might be feeling that disconnect, where she has a certain level of anxiety, fear, all of these different emotions that's going on, and she needs your help. She needs to feel it from you. Like that genuine concern, that genuine feeling of, this is us. What do you need from me? How can I be there? And I think that a lot of times we just don't get it. We just don't get it. I
would say that is exactly why when you asked us about coming onto the show that we agreed. I think telling this story, I hope and pray that it encourages partners to support, their partner that's expecting, whether they're with them or not. I feel like the question to ask yourself, and this is going to be brutal, do you care if they live or die? If you care, so no matter how much of turmoil, I would hope that you don't want them to die. So if you don't want them to die and you had part of this situation happening, advocate. Be there. If you got to sit in the room and be on Instagram and text on your phone and not talk to each other, be there, be an ear, listen to what's going on. If you got to Google terms while stuff is happening, Google it, because that's a whole nother thing. A lot of times when terminology is being laid out, you really don't know. You know what? Humble yourself. Ask the question. Excuse me, you said what term? What is that? How do you spell that? What medication are you giving her? Put it in, look at it afterwards. Come to the appointments. Come to the appointments. You know what I mean? Having that extra. I'm sorry.
Like you got so close to the mic.
I did it on purpose.
Yo, Tora was like this.
I'm sorry. I want to make sure the people in the back can hear. Come to the appointments. So many people think that it's not their responsibility to be there. When you mention about all the things that are going on in your body, do you understand how helpful it is to have an extra ear there to kind of hear what's going on, even if you don't know? Record the appointment. You know how many times we had our phone on? I was like, nope.
Recording.
And I love that because, there's tradition. You know what I'm saying? So, I was blessed to have, both my parents. And, the issue I remember hearing was like, well, your father worked. You know what I mean? Like, you work. And that's the thing. You work, and that's my love language is to go to work and, keep a job and, just work overtime if I need to. That was just the mentality. But for me, because of, what I've been through, it's just like, nah, man, I'm thankful that even though, I didn't have my daughter in on earth, but I feel like the fact that I was with her stage by stage, I I felt it. Like I had moments where I could, I talked to her in the womb. I said, you're gonna be great. You're gonna be great. You're gonna be a world changer. You're gonna be a leader. You know what I'm saying? Her when she came out, like it was like on Malcolm X's birthday. Like, you know what I mean? That's crazy. You know what I mean? I spoke life to my son. Like, I'm like, you're gonna be, great. You know what I mean? Shoot, Biggie birthday. You know what I mean? Just like May 21st. You know what I mean? So I'm like listening. I'm just like, how important to be present, man. Because it's all right, and you are needed no matter what. Helping. Whether it's holding the baby. You know what I'm saying? Being present. It's nothing soft about that. It's all about building the family, because it's going to roll over into the next generation. So just be encouraged, and you are needed. So I thank you for this platform.
No, it's absolutely my pleasure. Well, I wouldn't use the word pleasure, but I do feel like a sense of responsibility, especially when we talk about that guilt.
Yeah.
Right. That guilt. I feel like I let being in. I wanted to be a real nigga so long, right? And I just didn't realize that being a dope father, being supportive, those is real nigga things. But that shit comes from, I guess, me not having a dad when I grew up, or not really having a real strong thing with my family, building real relationship connections. I didn't realize that was in the way of me with her. So I keep fighting that now, and I'm just trying to use my platform to, I want somebody out there, I want one of y'all out there to look at your pregnant baby mother right now, your child's mother, because baby mother starts the idea of negativity. So your child's mother, say like, yo, let me just help her out a little bit. Let me walk with you a little bit. Yo, let me take you over here. You good? Yo, let me go in there with you. And just figure that out and understand that what she's going through, the person that you're dealing with right now, is dealing with the idea that they could die.
Yeah.
I know you and I don't see it that way, right? Because our moms had us, or your sister had, your nephew or your niece, but they made it.
Yeah.
1 in 4, bro. 1 in 4? And that's not even the level of other things that can happen. The idea that we're so caught up in, oh, she's not acting this way, or we not having sex, or there's so many other things that she's really going through right now. So many other things that she's going through right now. If he wasn't there with her, just think about it. Them hospitals is not paying attention to her. 3-4 times, and we talking about different instances, different 9-month cycles. Bro, she went breech one time. Went back, they did it again. Breach. And that means the baby could come out with the legs, that baby could pass, and also possibly kill the mom. She needs your support. She needs our support. These women need our support. And I think us men also need support. Colin, when you were going through the loss of Kennedy, we spoke about it at the panel that, yes, you was trying to support her, but what were you doing? What was going on with you?
Man, I mean, I think for me was, people grieve differently, and I think for me it was just, I was I felt like I had to go to work. So, it's just like, my wife was like, what are you talking about going to work? But I took all my annual time to prepare for, my daughter. And it was like, man, only to find out, just wasn't in my cards. And I was just like, I remember kind of sitting during the service, the memorial service. I'm just like, man, I gotta go to work Monday. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing out a date, but I'm just like, I gotta go to work. So, all right, cool. Don't go to work. Thankful, appreciate people showing love and stuff like that. But I just felt like I was just in shock. It's a shock thing. So it's the next thing I do. I do what I normally go to. I go to the gym. I start working out. I love the sport of boxing. I was, sparring, and then my coach at the time, he knew what happened, and I remember him. I ended up sparring somebody that was a little bit heavier than me, and then he tried to even give me a heads up, I just want to let you know, if you hit him, he's going to hit you back a certain way. And I was like, I said something slick, and then I remember saying, he said, you're a different fighter now. And I just had this mentality, like I was just ready to die, like this mentality. I was just like, I don't care. Like, I've been through a lot. Like, ain't no punch in the world can hurt me as much as what I've been through. And it's like an emotional injury that, that I was just going through. I was just going through. And then like going to work, it was just tough because it's like, I know that people was aware, but I was getting how's your wife? How's your wife? How's your wife? How's your wife? And then I'm like, yo, I was like, how's your wife? Like, I get it. That's, I didn't go through the physical aspect, but I was there. So I'm just like, dang, man, like I'm going through, but then I guess, I get tongue tied when I say toxic masculinity. It's like a pride thing. I didn't want to like disclose that because I felt like that would make me
toxic, man. You hugging my teddy bear, bro.
Yo, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to like, yeah. But yeah, man.
Yeah, it's comfort right there. But I mean, I say like, yeah, I just felt like embarrassed to state that like I was having fun. Thank you. Yeah, I felt like embarrassed. Like I didn't know how to accept it, But it was just like, how's your wife? How's your wife? And then I just was accepting it. And then it took a car accident to make me like stop moving and deal with my emotions, because I was just busybody. My grief, my sweat equity, my sweats, my tears came in the form of sweat. I was trying to see what little projects I could do at the crib. I was just, a gym rat, going to the gym, and I felt like I was helping myself. And I even tried to tell Brooke, yo, come with me. And she was just like, nah, I'm good. Like, you do what you got to do. Boom. End up getting into a car accident. And I was like out for like, several months, and I couldn't move. So then I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, I can't even move. And then I started dealing with survivor's remorse because I was still injured, and my birthday popped up. So I felt bad. Like, why am I still here? Like, my daughter here. So then it was just like, I remember like a tear coming out my eye, like, dang, man, I don't want you to see this. But, I remember just giving Brooke the nastiest attitude all day and couldn't understand why. But I had to deal with my emotions, and I think like moving forward, I just feel like it's okay. I learned it's okay to cry. It's okay to say I need help. It's okay to say I don't got it all together. It's okay to say I'm scared. It's okay to say, I appreciate that favor, So stuff that, I would always take for myself and just say I just got to do it on my own. I realized if I'm going to get through this thing, and if I'm going to be any support to her, I got to accept help and say I need help.
Yeah. You guys have the advocacy programs that you do. What do you guys do for these things? I know you have the advocacy program. There was something else that you guys mentioned as well that y'all do. I don't know.
What are you talking about?
You said you have the advocacy.
The nonprofit, the Baby Resource Center.
And
yes.
there was something else.
The Dream Manufacturers? Yes, the Dream Manufacturers. So that's just a regular nonprofit. We support like education, employment, youth, the environment, just kind of all the things that we've seen, our communities focus on. So we currently live in the Rockaways. We've owned a home out there for about
wonderful. I see. I was coming up out there.
Yeah, 12 years now, and as a result of that, we've just seen food disparities, healthcare issues, and we just wanted to. I think the advocacy for the pregnancy loss community basically opened up a whole world for us of advocacy. We both ended up going back to college. We got degrees in social work. I ended up getting my license after my master's. He's currently in a master's program.
That's
so
Thanks,
we
man.
just decided to just go full throttle with it. So it opened the door not just for that community, but we wanted to be able to do things for other communities. So, one of the events that we're doing now is Father Fest. So yes, so
Yeah.
one of the things the community members constantly talk about is like, there's always something for mothers, there's nothing for fathers.
Yeah.
So we was like, all right, well, we got to do
What's
it.
Father
do it for
Fest?
Father Fest. So we just gonna pamper you guys, you know, and have activities and resources and
support.
activities. We just want fathers to have a great time.
How can we find out? What do I got to do to sign up?
So it's gonna be on
June 14th.
It's gonna be on June 14th. It'll most likely be on our Instagram pages, so we'll put it out that way.
Dope.
And
Dope. Where are your Instagram pages?
Mine is at Brooke Lugo Smith. That's BROOKE Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Colin?
Yeah, IAM Colin G Smith.
G Smith.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We will have you guys information in the bio and Father's Fest or whatever the links are, whatever links that you guys have, we will put in the description. So if you're listening to this episode and you do want to come out and support Father's Fest, if you do want to reach out to Brooke and Colin or whatever it may be, please do so. I have one last question that I've been asking everybody.
Okay.
If you did have a message, Brooke, if you did have a message for parents right now, mothers, fathers, either or both, what would it be?
My message would be to be gentle with yourself. We take on a heavy burden with a lot of things. Like even today, I hear the running theme being guilt. I heard guilt coming up. I heard guilt with you. I heard guilt with him. I even said I felt a level of guilt. I think in general with parenting, we have to be gentle with ourselves. There's no manual. There's always a talk like there's no manual. You know, it's not cookie cutter. People make mistakes. They don't show it. You know, I think I love that, you know, in comedy places, you know, you kind of see things happening. I remember a movie, what was it, Sex and the City, and they showed one of the characters going to the closet to cry. Like the daughter, her daughter wanted something from her, and she, you know, I don't know what happened that day, but she couldn't handle it. She had to close the closet door with the daughter screaming on the other side, like wanting her mommy.
Oh my God.
And she needed a moment. Like, we have to be gentle with ourselves. So I would say, you know, mothers and fathers, make sure that you do the things that you need to take care of yourself, because if you don't fill yourself up, you can't fill anybody else's cup.
Yeah. Colin, I would ask you the same question. A message that you wanted to give to dads, to moms, to couples, whatever it may be.
I mean, Brooke, you said a great deal. So definitely ditto that. But I also just say, communicate. You know, just
Excellent.
I hope that we as men and women work towards communicating with each other and try to do our best to listen to understand, more so not just to reply, you know, but listen to really understand. And I think that could break a lot of barriers if we work towards, you know, our communication and how we talk to one another, and you know, just be mindful of, you know, any type of emotional injuries as well. So, you know, we go to the doctor, we're aware about, you know, we think about physical pain, but, you know, whatever's impacting how you feel, you know, you don't have Band-Aids for the stuff, for the emotions that we go through, but do understand that, you know, it is important that we work towards our mental health and address the issues, you know, and again, just communicate. Don't keep it bottled in. That's the only thing I have.
No, it wasn't the only. That was really great. Communication is key for everybody. Learning how to communicate with yourselves, let alone what you would be able to tell somebody else. You have to be able to figure out what you're going through, right? A lot of times as a man, I just didn't know. All I knew was anger or laughter, right? Or happiness. Anger and happiness. I knew that. I knew sad too, right? Like when, whatever. But I didn't know why. I didn't know how to communicate that to myself. So I definitely couldn't tell somebody else. So yes, communication is key. I do want to thank y'all both for sharing y'all story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jackson, thank you for sharing your parents with us. You guys already know it's been a long week. This episode hit definitely deeper than I just didn't know that what was about to happen, but it definitely happened.
Sorry.
No, it's no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you too, Colin. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
I'm gonna try to get my therapist friend from Chicago on the line tomorrow so that we can talk resources for parents, and actually taking that step and how necessary it is to have therapy, to have counseling, to actually like include that in your prenatal journey. Just because I think that we can actually make it out of that, but we just have to seek help and communicate with each other and communicate with professionals. You know what I'm saying? You guys already know. Patreon.com/So Shameless Podcast. If you want to listen to the full episode, I just appreciate y'all being here today. Brooke, Colin, Jackson, Toro. Peace. So shameless.